to Prairie.306. My name is Jess. I'm gardening in Regina, Saskatchewan. I hope you can hear me over my neighbor's air conditioning. I figured I'd do my intro outside because I was already out here, sitting on the back porch, thinking about what's gonna happen to this garden. It is Monday, September 27th. I think. Yes, 27th. It is week 18 of the garden tours. We got frost this week, little frost. I get up and quite early for work, and I'm usually out the door by 5:30, and there was frost on my car on, I want to say Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and then the forecast this week is calling that we're going to get down to -5 on Thursday this week, so there's a good possibility that whatever is left in the garden won't be there next week, just because of the cold. This week I pulled all of the tomatoes, so they're ripening on my counter. Hopefully I'll be able to make salsa out of them. If not, they're going to end up in the freezer and made into pasta sauce at a later date because they don't want to ripen at the same time. Pulled the celery, started processing and drying all of our peppers. The air was literally spicy in my house yesterday because we don't have a dehydrator, so I had to use the oven. So it was a little spicy. My cheeks were quite red. Other than that, it's pretty much just the last week before we really get out here and clean everything up and prep it for the winter, which means pulling everything and chopping up the plant matter and getting it over to his grandma's place for her composter. That was a mosquito. Yuck. Pulling down, well, at least taking off the strings for the grids. We're going to do the grids again next year, but we're going to take the strings down so that we can amend the soil and add to it, because you obviously lose some dirt and whatnot, and when I rip the roots of these tomato plants out, there's going to be a lot that comes out with them, so that's going to be fun. The tomato plants will be coming out, so we'll be getting that measurement, and that contest will be going up right away here, because I mentioned it 2 weeks ago thinking that it was going to be done, and it wasn't, but now they're pretty done, and you'll see that when I take a quick rip through the back here in the actual tour part. The tomato plants are done, which pretty much everything is done. I was looking back at pictures today. It was making me sad about how little everything was, and now everything is so big, but so done. So, anyways, we'll get into the front yard portion of this, which, I mean, the front yard's got more going on than the backyard does right now, but we'll see how that goes if we actually get frost on Thursday. Let's get into it, see what's going on. It's hot and dry, and you water, and it does make a difference. We did get frost earlier in the week, as you can tell. Some of the sensitive stuff got nipped. It was a light frost, but it was still enough, I think, that things are kind of like, oh hey, it might be time to chill out. There's lots of flowers still, which is really cool. I'm not sure if there'll be another garden tour after this week because of the weather, but oh yes, so the sunflowers dropped a bunch of petals because I was kind of not smart, but I tied him up to the fence because he's so big he was all the way bent over. Well, look how gorgeous that is. I'm so in love with this flower. I just want to plant like my whole front lawn full of them. But yeah, Well, I guess lots of stuff is gonna be done here. We're supposed to get down to -5 on Thursday, which makes me sad because that's going to eliminate a lot of things in here. Oh, I have a sunflower stalk that fell over, which everyone probably noticed before I did because I wasn't paying attention. Whoops. But yeah, we'll see how everything looks. If we do get frost on Thursday, we'll see how everything looks, and then there might be a heavy teardown. But it is the end of September, so the fact that I still have flowers right now is just boggling to me, because this time last year I was digging out my dahlia tubers because everything was done. This will be getting tilled up because it's just the potting soil's on top of it. It's still pretty hard clay underneath, so it's got to get worked before it gets planted. Was doing some reading, and it said that fall is the best time to plant a peony, but we're pulling a couple branches off, well, not branches, but like stalks off of an existing established peony already, so we're going to plant it in the spring. And then I'll be moving probably my lilies in here. I might plant my dahlias in here next year, we'll see, because where they are now, I'm going to be putting hostas all across the back and figuring out a better watering system. Then there's that I have to pull because they're still flowering, but it's getting taken over by weeds. So just clean it up before the winter time. And then my favorite shot is not so much my favorite shot anymore because my canna did not like the frost. So I have to do some reading and see if cutting it back is the best option, or if letting it die off and then cutting it back is the best option. If anybody knows, they can comment down below and let me know, because I'm really not sure, and I want to make sure that I save those rhizomes. The callas are actually doing not a whole lot. I'm honestly debating if I want to get like decorative fall pots and put them up here, or if I just want to wait and then decorate for winter. I'll have to see. And then the snap pot is finally ready for me to go through and harvest seeds. It's all dried up. This is the unfortunate part, is the end of season always looks so terrible. But yeah, so that's where we're at in the front. Actually, I'm going to take a close-up of this head again because it's just so beautiful. Oh, and I don't know if you saw, there's a little wasp hanging out there. Like, I don't think you understand how massive this sunflower head is. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, so we will head out into the backyard now. Looks a little bit different back here. Everything's out of the pots, pretty much. Well, except for that beefsteak, because there was a tomato on it that I harvested. And yeah, this is pretty much it. Harvested as many tomatoes as I could find in here. So these plants will be coming down, and we'll have that number for the contest right away. Well, probably by the weekend when I get all this torn down, chopped up, and bagged to go to his grandma's. Pulled the squash plants out. The zucchini is still going. It has powdery mildew, so it'll probably, well, I mean, it probably won't survive the frost if we get frost on Thursday. So then I'll have all of those to pull. This guy's still going, which surprises me. It's dry back here for the first time, like, all season. So that's been interesting. The plan is to get the sump pump in before it freezes, because if we don't get it in before it freezes, we won't get it in, and then we'll have another, ouch, super wet year back here, and I don't want that because it's hard on my foundation. So this is pretty much it in this bed. the zucchini plant and the eggplants, which have nothing growing on them, and this tomato, because everything else got pulled out. The celery got pulled and processed. I powdered the leaves, and then I also pickled the celery stalks so that we actually utilized them. Yeah, the tomato plants are getting blight, which I'm surprised they're even still going again, because they're a frost tender plant and we did get a light freeze. But yeah, this is this is pretty much it. There's not a whole lot going on, which is really okay for me at this point. I did not expect to have a garden at this point anymore. With the way the weather had been going, I honestly expected that like the beginning of September things would have just like frozen and petered off, but they didn't. So the next plan honestly is just clearing this out and prepping the beds for the winter time. I do plan on mulching the beds. I was doing reading because yes, I have a small garden space, but I was expecting a little more production than what I got. So I was doing some reading and asked in some gardening groups about what I should do, and I was told that if I'm getting big leafy things like the tomato plants, that I should be looking at what my values are for nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. And if I'm getting a lot of big, beautiful leafy things, my nitrogen is probably too high, which makes sense seeing as the base of my beds is a soil mix we used last year that I know is high in nitrogen. So I have been told that I should add bone meal and kelp meal to my beds next year. My okra is still going behind that corn. Those 2 little corn cobs that I harvested the other week went to my rats, and they liked it a lot. It was very cute. The bees are also going to be put away here. We got the canvas bag to put them away in. And, yeah. I don't know if there will be a garden tour next week. This might be the last one of the year. There will be a wrap-up video, though, which might possibly include garden fails and garden successes, or I might do those separately depending on how many things I can figure out. But yeah, short, quick little video here to show you where it's at. There's not a whole lot to look at anymore, which makes me sad, but it is what it is when you have a short growing season. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time today to hang out with me. And I want to thank you for following along this season. It's been pretty cool to have weekly videos instead of monthly pictures, just to see how much has changed in 18 weeks. But yeah, so thank you for hanging out with me in my little patch of dwindling paradise. I appreciate any likes, shares, comments that you guys want to throw my way, and subscriptions if you're not subscribed. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.